And good morning, everyone. 7:07 a.m. and we are back here on KFYO Mornings. 47 degrees in the Hub City, 73 today, and no rain in the forecast. It's going to be a nice day. And as promised, in our studio is Randy Christian, the one and only Randy Christian.
There's Councilman
Randy
Christian.
Councilman, I think lover, fighter, wild horse rider, and a pretty fair windmill man. He is.
And there are more Randy Christians. Have you ever just gone on Facebook or and Googled your name?
No.
It's really interesting.
My name is Matt Martin. It's like one of the most common names in the world. So
I've got
you very far.
I've friended 3 Randy Christians on Facebook. In California, and I think in somewhere in Europe, and it's pretty interesting.
Well, that's just the ones that are on Facebook. I mean, there's thousands.
Oh, yeah.
There's thousands more of them too. Yeah.
So,
city council meeting last night.
Council meeting.
You guys are going to borrow
all day long yesterday.
You guys are going to borrow $250 million, and I mean, what else? What else is new?
Let me start by saying the book you brought in here. Y'all always come in with this book. It's probably about 8,000 pages long. It seems. I mean, it's
8,001.
A huge book, and today you've got maybe a quarter of that.
Well, and I told you that's because the way the council meetings are falling as we're leading toward the holidays. Because we'll actually meet next Thursday, which is different. We never have back-to-back meetings, and then the 15th or whatever. But anyway, we'll get payback sooner or later. But because we also had a meeting a couple of weeks ago too. But this is an anomaly, and I don't. Of course, I brought my other homework for the other meetings I've had the last 24 hours too. So where we're lacking on the council book, we're making up with the strategic planning book and also the 2040 book. So I always have lots of homework.
So
I'll let you ask your question now, Dave. Sorry.
Well, I don't even know where to start. I guess to ask you what went on last night at the council meeting.
Well, we'll start with the beginning.
Okay, let's do that.
Which is good.
Seems a good place to start.
Well, was a lot of fun. We honored this year's honor flight guys. They were in the council chambers. They all got a little certificate of recognition. But what I like too is we also gave a certificate of those people that went with them, the caregivers, and recognized them. Pretty much the highlights, or at least what I feel are the highlights of the evening, were the free land that we got for one of the police stations on South Indiana. I believe it's like 130th is where that is.
No, hold on. You got free land?
Yes.
So who gave you the land?
Developer Thomas Payne, who is developing that property out. That's in the Cooper School District. He was present, and we got to thank him for that. So we actually have some nibbles of some people that may give us land for the North Station too. So. Yeah. And I really think it's very smart from a developer standpoint that because they're going to be good. They're going to be good-looking stations. Aesthetically, they're going to be very pleasing. That for you to be able to tell somebody that, by the way, this beautiful police substation is going to be within a half a block or so from your home or your school, I think that makes smart marketing, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah, it's a positive.
And I think that's the same with some of our fire stations. A lot of our fire stations are in relatively close proximity to residential areas, and they're beautiful places. So if I was looking for a place to build a home or move, that certainly wouldn't be a negative.
No, it wouldn't be a negative
to have a police station close by.
Yeah.
So that was what happened with that. We also $7 million complete redo of the soccer fields out at Burl Huffman. That money's coming from Market Lubbock.
$7 million?
It's going to be a complex that has multiple fields on it where they can hopefully we can get back some of the tournaments that we've lost over the years.
What is Market Lubbock?
It's part of LEDA.
Okay.
It's the other part of LEDA that has been a part of our economic development of the city economic development since day one. When they changed the name from Board of City Development to LEDA, the way it's chartered, there was always a Market Lubbock. And those are funds that can go to things like this. In other words, LEDA could not fund something like this.
So I don't know. I just know I don't know anything about this particular thing. So don't. But Lubbock at one point had a bond election to build new soccer fields. What's the difference in the amount that we were going to spend on that and what we've got going into Burl Huffman right now?
As I understand it, because that was quite a while ago.
Yeah.
As I understand it, yes, that bond election, the bond money was supposed to go to those fields, and for whatever reason, they were
it was voted down. It was voted down by the citizens.
Twice. I think it was twice. There was a vote down, but there was some money for that field some time ago. But anyway, if I drove out there, my kids played at those soccer fields, and I've got a 31 and a 33-year-old. Mm-hmm. And I drove out there the other day. They look exactly the same as they did when my kids were playing.
Well, I'm trying to imagine.
Well, you can go online. There's going to be some synthetic. Some of the fields are going to be
$7 million. I mean, hey, it's a field.
No, it's not going to.
And you got some bleachers.
No.
And a concession
this is going to
stand.
be an economic development tool because hopefully we can get back some of the soccer tournaments that we lost because we've never done anything to those fields. This is Councilwoman Latrell Joy's. This is kind of her project that she's been trying to make happen for well over a year. The idea of being able to get some more of the tournaments that we've lost to both Amarillo and really Dallas, it's going to be something that I think that is going to be an economic development tool. That so people will be coming to these tournaments that we've lost over the years.
I guess my question boils down to the city of Lubbock voted down the proposal for new soccer fields, but now we're essentially taking the old soccer fields and completely renovating them. Why was that? Why would that not be something that you would put in front of the citizens again?
Because that money is coming from Market Lubbock. What I understand is they work together, and that money can be allocated for these projects.
So
like this.
Market Lubbock gets paid by the city, though, right?
Well, it's
city money.
It's tax money.
Okay.
Yeah, but really the city doesn't have a whole lot to do with what all that's happening.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh. I just got a text. The last bond for the soccer fields were $9 million.
$9 million. So it was very close.
Yeah, we saved $2.
Well, but we already own the land.
Yeah.
So
well, you'd really for you guys, you really need to take a look at the plan. It's there's virtually no lighting out there right now. There's going to be new restrooms. There's also going to be roads, new access.
$7 million. That's hard to imagine that you could spend that much money on soccer fields.
Yeah, no. Well, have you seen these new football stadiums, Dave?
But this is not football stadium. This is freaking soccer.
Dave,
only communists play soccer.
You can spend a lot of money.
It's a communist sport.
And I hope that people that soccer moms or dads start texting and calling in right now and set Dave straight because there's also a new irrigation system. I mean, it's really from the ground. From below ground and up that this new soccer field.
That's true. You know, when you talk about soccer parents, you might as well be talking about bikers. You know, bicyclists get very angry when you talk about bicyclists. I don't know if you know that.
Well, talk about libraries.
Well, Dave's been there, done that.
Talk about libraries.
Well, I guess Jeff Griffith, Councilman Griffith, got a little bit of that too.
Let's take a break here. I have got to get my head back screwed on straight after $7 million for soccer. Good grief.
And that number for KFYO for all the soccer moms and dads,
770-5790.
Please call Dave and get him straight.
7:16 a.m. Back with more after this. News Talk 95.1 FM, 790 a.m. This is KFYO Mornings with Dave King and Matt Martin, whatever your name is. Yeah.
I answer to everything.
A texter this morning says, how much money is the city estimating it has lost from the loss of soccer tournaments? How much does the city expect to make each year from the use of the new fields? How many years will it take to recoup $7 million? And that's exactly the question that was going through my mind.
First of all, now that we've established that Dave doesn't like soccer and they don't play it in Texas and it's a communist sport, even though it is the most
And
popular sport in the world.
But not in Texas, Randy.
And
We live in Texas.
so
we don't live in the world.
So we don't want our children to ever play soccer. So, to answer that, textures, there is some information that relates to how much money they've lost. Quite honestly, I don't remember that. But the fact is that there's some projects that I don't think that you start to look at the payback on certain things in regards to things like this. You don't do a park. Is there going to be a payback on a park? But there will be some new roads that are put out there that will help access both the baseball, the softball complex, and the soccer fields. So we could sit here and bang this thing all day long. But the bottom line is, we're going to put a new soccer complex that I think that everybody will be proud of, and that will attract soccer tournaments, a bunch of them from what I understand. And those people will be staying in hotels. They'll be eating in our restaurants. They'll be going to our stores. So if you want to put that in perspective of what payback is, I think our hotelers and our restaurant people are very, very happy for us to start trying to grab some of these tournaments and bring them back to Lubbock.
Got you.
And they'll buy gas.
So,
but they probably won't be up early enough in the morning to listen to Dave King in the morning.
So, you were telling us, swimming pools have been a problem in Lubbock just because of the maintenance costs.
They're old.
Yeah, so
they're just flat old.
So, what y'all talk about swimming pools?
Well, one of the things that we looked at is the ongoing maintenance of a pool. Is very high, plus some of the things that we have not done to take care of those pools for the last 40 years, to be perfectly honest with you. And the question is, there's a lot of cities that are going out, they're out of the pool business. They're out of the public pool business. As I understand, Jared was in Amarillo for quite a while, our city manager, and they are phasing out. They're pretty much phasing out of the pool business. Mm-hmm. But what a lot of cities are going to in alternative to pools are splash pads. Mm-hmm. They seem to be much more appealing and used a lot more. And quite honestly, I think that, you think about it, a kid go to a park without a swimming suit or just, dressed for the summer, and they can go jump around and play in a splash pad and not have to go home and get back, get the swimming suit, the deal. So the practicality of splash pads versus pools are pretty high. Have we made a decision on what we're going to do with the pools? No. But there's some pretty daunting numbers as far as ongoing maintenance and then what is needed to be done to the pools that we have to get them where we need to.
And this is another thing that has been discussed in the past. Was there not some kind of election on that as well, on splash pads?
I do not. On splash pads?
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I don't know. There may be, but not to my knowledge on splash pads.
Okay. I just know it's been proposed in the past. It's been talked about.
Probably
but
that, but
happened.
I don't know whether anything as far as actually money towards doing splash pads. I'm not aware of that. Okay. So that's part of the pools, and there's most of those pools are from a physical perspective. The pools themselves really haven't done much to them since they were built in the late 50s, probably early 60s, to be perfectly honest with you. And they're expensive. But as I said, most cities are getting out of the pool business.
Yeah.
Are they?
Oh, yeah.
And letting it go private?
Well, and we do have some alternatives, some private alternatives, and some that are very reasonably priced. But I think the main thing is that pool, if you had a brand new pool, if you built a pool today, the annual maintenance on pools are just high.
Believe me. Well, my wife was 23 years executive secretary at Melanie Park South, and you wouldn't believe the money that we spent on a pool. The insurance alone is staggering. The taxes, the water bill. We had a 178,000-gallon pool, and you try to keep that temperature at 80 degrees. You look at $2,000 a month for a gas bill.
And we've
So-
got
It's expensive. It's an expensive proposition.
and we've got a leak at I can't remember. I think it's I can't remember which pool it is, but we're having a real tough time finding out exactly where that leak is too.
So I did want to say I looked it up because something was tickling my mind. We did have a vote on, it was Proposition number 3 back in 2009 to get $1.2 million in bonds for splash pads, and that was voted down by the citizens of Lubbock. So it makes me wonder: is this something you're going to bring?
Don't know. We're just talking right now.
Okay.
Yeah, have no idea.
Okay, 7:29. We're moving right up there, and this is Dave King and Matt Martin in the mornings here on KFYO. And we are back here on KFYO Mornings with Dave King and Matt Martin, 7:35 a.m. And in our studio, again, City Councilman Randy Christian talking about what went on at the council meeting yesterday.
Yeah, we kicked that ball around quite a bit.
We have so far.
Yeah. That was a pun if you didn't get it.
Okay, you wanted to talk about codes. Some of the
Yeah.
controversy
Yeah,
for some of the
so-
code changes.
The big thing was that the city was looking at changing a lot of different things, including some of the ones that I remember were billboards and used car lots and even
Boat
shops.
and trailer sales, motorcycle shops, nightclubs, games rooms, dance halls, and commercial and private teenage clubs.
Right, they were moving them from C3, which is commercial property, to M1, which is light manufacturing. And so there was a lot of, we heard a lot of controversy over that, which is why, we're
And
bringing it up.
And you don't think I haven't heard about it? We're going back to the table or not.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Well, it means we're going to revisit all of these different recommended changes.
They're going to start over.
Because we're going to start over. Because what we got from staff, City Council got was recommendations from our staff and from P&Z, and I'm looking at them right now. And there was some controversy on it, so we'll be going back with the council and staff and revisit how all of these are as they're recommended today. So how that'll fall out in the future, I'll get back with you. But we're going back to square one and really visiting each one of those recommendations and how they apply to those different categories of businesses.
Okay.
Well, that's good.
So it's in my to be right now. Since we're clearing the table, it's a non-issue, but it may become an issue after we decide what our recommendation will be with these.
Well, I know, again, we heard a lot right here on this show of people that were very concerned about this because it would be a financial disaster, if that's not too tough a word, for some of the people that own property here in Lubbock if that were passed as it was originally written.
Right. So it's not going to even be on the agenda for the November 1.
Okay, so one of the things that everything Lubbock has gotten, they have a story that says the city council is setting the stage on borrowing up to $250 million. It's a lot of money, and you were saying that that's not necessarily how that works. So can you tell us what they're talking about as far as $250 million?
The first stage towards actually doing some of the projects and ongoing work that happens every year, you first have to issue the debt. A good portion of that debt, of course, is going to be then it refers to LP&L and ERCOT and all the other things that we have to do to get the transmission lines and everything in place to become a member of ERCOT. So that's the first stage of that, and those will be bonds. We've already talked about those. So that's the lion's share of that debt that's on there. The other things, if you look at the line items, they're part of that is also the new police substations that we've also all talked about. But most of the other line items are just general things that will wind up coming out of the general fund after this debt is issued. But that's the way I talked to Jared about it last night. Okay. And so the terminology may be a little bit misleading that we first issue the debt and then we go back and start piecing together where the funding for that debt's going to come from.
Yeah, and so this isn't necessarily I'm just wondering, this isn't the city's trying to get away from putting debt, using debt to pay for things like cars and whatnot. So this isn't them taking out a bond to try to cover the things that they're...
Not at all.
Okay.
Those are those things. And if you look at it, and I think I showed it to you a minute ago, Well, I would say well over 80% are in that area is for us getting ready to get to what we have to do to get into ERCOT.
Okay.
Yeah. So, to say that is debt, that's correct, but it's the first step towards the funding, the other mechanisms to fund that debt that's basically we've been talking about for a long time.
Okay.
So what was the biggest thing on the agenda last night or yesterday? You said this was an all-day meeting yesterday?
Well, what we did is we started at 7:30. They did feed us yesterday morning. I had a little breakfast at 7:30.
Wow.
And then 8 o'clock, the biscuits and gravy were excellent. You would love them. As I tell people, cream gravy is my favorite vegetable.
They don't feed us here at 7:30.
No.
Y'all come and you can come with us sometimes.
Well,
but what happened?
I get a Chick-fil-A at the Monday meetings of the library board. So
Really?
Oh yeah.
Oh golly. Okay. Then 8 o'clock, we started our second strategic planning session, which is book number 2 over here. This is a pretty good size book too. I really liked what we've done with the strategic planning, where we had an agenda and we covered many topics. Pools were part of that. Parks were part of that. Transportation was part of that. Roadways were part of that. Is just a real brainstorming session of where we are now, what we have to work with, what we need to do to move forward. And the zoning came up too. We talked about Loop 88. That's going to start happening, and we looked at what kind of zoning that we would have along the corridors of Loop 88 too.
So in the 2040 initiative, y'all got a lot of places that y'all are looking at potentially annexing over the next so many years. If the state of Texas changes it to where Lubbock is a tier 2, would that be something y'all would have to change the 2040 initiative or the outline of that?
Probably so.
Okay.
Probably so. I think there's a lot of things in regards to annexing that will be that will be talked about in Austin that could affect all sorts of.
Is that something the council's talked about? Is that something?
We haven't talked about that. I think it's a little early, but I'm sure we will as we
Okay.
get closer to the session and see what happens in Austin in next quarter or next session.
Let's take a quick break, and we'll be back right after this. News Talk, 95.1 FM, 790 AM. This is KFYO Mornings. Dave King, Matt Martin, here on your radio. 47 degrees outside, 73 is the forecast high today, and some bright sunshine, so that'll be nice to dry things out. Once again, we're talking with City Councilman Randy Christian this morning regarding the council meeting yesterday,
And worked in the strategic planning session in the morning. Well, Dave, do you like parks?
do what?
Do you like parks?
Oh, I love parks.
Okay.
In fact, I have to say that in my neighborhood, we have the Bill Miller Park, which I think, my personal opinion, is the best park in Lubbock, and I walk in it all the time and enjoy its beauty.
Then you would be in favor of us improving McAllister Park.
McAllister Park. Okay, tell me which one is it? Well,
See, that's the problem.
see, I don't know which one it is, but sure, I think everyone should have a nice park.
As long as we don't have a soccer field?
Well, like I say, I'm not in it for soccer.
No, I'm teasing. McAllister Park is in my district, District 5, and it's the one where the Western Little League fields are off Milwaukee. The big, huge, that's sandwiched between the Marcia Sharp Freeway
Yeah.
and the Spur 327.
Yeah.
Did you realize that's how?
That's where our Challenger Little League
Challenger
plays.
Little League field is.
Built a field that is to accommodate the handicapped children.
$7 million. Was it cost $7 million? No. But one of my proposals is that we need to start making improvements at that park. Be a multiple year project. We're not even talking dollars and cents at all. It's all in the planning stages or thought stages now. But it is, by definition of the 2040 plan, would be considered a gateway park because it is bordered by the north on the Marcia Sharp Freeway and the Spur on the south. So how many cars pass that park on a daily basis? Thousands. Right now, it's just a trash collection area, if you want to be honest with you. Especially when the winds get up, there's lots of trash there that has a playa lake there. So one of the things that was talked about in the 2040 plan is what as a city, what can we do to take advantage of those playa lakes that are in parked areas. And I think that's going to be a fun challenge to see what can we do with those, because we got lots of playa lakes, and most of our parks probably do have a playa lake. But we need to start talking about McAllister Park to see what we can do with it. And a couple of the things that we are already doing, walking, jogging, hiking trails, because it's over 200 acres. That park is over 200 acres. One of the things that we're in the process of doing right now is we're just taking we talked to some people that are serious runners. The serious runners tell us that they would prefer to run on Mother Earth if they could, if it was leveled enough where they wouldn't turn their ankle, as opposed to running on the concrete or asphalt. So one of the things we're in the process of doing, we've got a trail mapped out that goes all the way around the park, and I'm sure it's probably at least a mile. And we've just taken a traditional road maintainer, and we're carving out that running track right now. And we're going to start doing a little bit more to it to make it level. And hopefully by Thanksgiving or sometime before Christmas, that we're calling it our primitive jogging track will be ready for people to start using that facility as a place to go run and jump and play and stuff like that.
Oh, so
I'm pretty excited about that. Like I said, that park needs some work. It needs and it's going to take a long time.
Well, it's a nice park. I mean, I haven't been out there in a while, but that's a very nice park.
Well, and what we want to do is make it making it what I'd call it wilderness trails, where we would keep the natural grass. That we're not going to try to put lots of regular grass in there. And there's some pretty cool what I call they call prairie parks, where they actually carve those paths out but leave the natural buffalo grass on each side of it. It's really neat, especially in our neck of the woods, in our part of the country, like the Nebraska's, Kansas, and those places. There's some really neat deals.
You had mentioned a word a while ago that triggered something I've been intended to talk about. I just keep forgetting it. I've lived in Lubbock for 50 years. I know you've been here many, many years. I have never seen the city with as much blowing trash as I am seeing now. Why is that? And why aren't we there is trash piled up on the loop, up against the cement divider. That is, I mean, it's the same trash that I've seen for weeks. It's still there. Why aren't we doing a better job of cleaning this up?
Well,
are you not seeing this?
I'm not seeing a lot, but part of that's TxDOT responsibilities.
On the loop?
Probably so. Yeah.
Well, but I'm seeing it all over town.
Huh.
And even on the city streets and all. I've just become noticing it, and I used to never notice it because Lubbock's always been a clean city, and you just never noticed that.
Okay, I'll look up because I haven't really noticed the outrageous amount of trash around. What I was noticing, an outrageous amount of tall weeds, which we started knocking down, and then suddenly we become Seattle, and it's raining like crazy. But I really haven't noticed that overabundance of trash, to be perfectly honest with you.
Councilman,
certain areas, but I haven't noticed the overabundance.
One of the things that have been brought up a lot is the ICE facility that was voted down, and you voted against that. I'm just wondering, can you explain why you voted against that facility?
I'm glad you brought that up because that's a very big irritant to me that I got hammered for voting against that. I don't think there is anybody on the council that voted against ICE. They voted against a zoning change.
Right.
And that's the bottom line.
Okay,
but we did not vote against ICE because we had those representatives there too. There were some citizens that were concerned about that location. My fellow council members that represent that area were concerned about that. So that's the reason that I respected their wishes on that. I do think that there's probably some better places that we could put an ICE facility in to begin with. And I do believe that there's even some possibilities that maybe we could find some property that is closer to the county jail.
Yeah. Well, we are out of time, Randy. Well, it flies by when we're having fun, doesn't it?
Gosh, and we didn't even talk about the atheist prayer.
No,
Yeah, what's the scoop on that?
Well, we're out of time.
Well, we are. All right, we will take this break, and we'll be back in just a moment.